Good morning, guys. Today, inshallah, we're going to continue lesson one of chapter four that will talk about sexual reproduction and meiosis. So, last time we already know what meant by sexual reproduction and how this process happened, and then we know the different steps of meiosis, the kind of division that produce the sex cells in both parents, male and female. That means the division which lead to the production of sperm and egg, the haploid cell that is going to join together through the fertilization process to produce a new offspring or to produce egg. So today, inshallah, we're gonna make a kind of comparison between meiosis and mitosis to figure out the main differences between them. So, except the differences that we could find in the between meiosis one steps or the phases of meiosis one and the mitosis, we have general differences in the entire process. So let's find what are these differences. So here we said first number of chromosomes in the parent cell, the cell that start the division. So the cell that start the division of meiosis, which is the cells of ovary or the cell of testes, the diploid, while also the cells that do the mitosis are diploid. That means any cell that starts the division must be a diploid cell. Then we said that types of parent cell, the only cell that perform meiosis are reproductive cells. That means meiosis division just happen in reproductive cells only, while mitosis happen in the entire body cells. The number of division of nucleus, we find that in meiosis, the nucleus divides twice. That's why we have 4 cells at the end. Each one contain the half number of chromosomes only, while in mitosis, the nucleus just divide once only. So that's why we have 2 cells that exact couple like the original one. Here we find that number of total cells which come out of meiosis, we end by 4 cells, which we call them 6 cells, while here in mitosis, we just have 2 cells, we call them daughter cells, which are exact copy of the original one. The chromosomes number in daughter cells of the meiosis, the R haploid contain the half number only. That means the number of chromosomes in 6 cells in sperm or egg, they are haploid, they just have number as we said before, to ensure that after fertilization, after combination between sperm and egg, the zygote or the new offspring have the full number of chromosomes or keep the number of chromosomes of the species is constant. Here, why to find this? In mitosis, the new cells are exactly copy like the original one, so they are diploid as the parent cell. Here, the function or the aim of meiosis just happen to ensure that, okay, we form the sperm and egg cells or formation of sex cells. While mitosis, as we know, it happens for many reasons, growth, repair, and, okay, replacement, and sometimes asexual reproduction in animals, okay? So here, that's the point, or that's the differences, or these are the differences between meiosis and mitosis. Now we're gonna pass to another thing, which is what are the privileges or the advantages of sexual reproduction? Why sexual reproduction considered to be beneficial compared to asexual one? So we said that because as we studied during prophase of meiosis, there is a process happening we call it crossing over, in which the internal parts or internal chromatids of homologous chromosomes exchange parts, which lead to a new combination of DNA each time during formation of sperms and egg, and that's cause, okay, a huge of genetic variety among individuals of the same species or a population. So this genetic variation considered as privilege or considered as advantage is very, very important. Why? Because this genetic variety will make different individual of different population have different traits, so they have different ability to interact with the environment, so they could survive, or some of them will be able to adapt more with the environmental conditions once it's changed rather than other individuals. So imagine if the all individuals of a population, they are exactly the same, no variety at all, okay? So if the environmental conditions change, so all of them will have the same response to the environment, so all of them will not be able to adapt and all of them will die, and that will lead to extinction of this species. But because of genetic variation, we have different traits among individuals of a population. So once the environmental condition changes, some of these animal or some of the individuals of this population will respond to the environmental conditions or this change in different ways. So some of them will not be able to adapt, and the others will be able to adapt and survive. So which ensure the continuity of life or the of surviving of this species, so it will not extinct easily. So here that the idea or that the importance of the genetic variation. Due to the genetic variation, individual with the population have slightly differences, and these slightly differences enable them to survive. Here he give you a little example that, for example, some of the genetic variety that could happen in some plants, that some plants grow has a resistance of certain diseases. So in this case, okay, once this disease is spread out or start to spread among plants, the individuals which have this resistance will survive and keep alive, while others will die. So like that, we give a chance for this kind of plant to keep surviving and give new individuals, okay? So here that's example of the importance of genetic variation. Plus that, genetic variation also enables something called the selective breeding. What I mean by selective breeding? We have breeders, they are kind of living kind of people or who are interested on different species and different strains of this species, and they try to make a kind of reproduction between different species or between different strains of species to get a new individual with desirable traits. What does it mean? For example, imagine that you have a farm and it includes a number of cows, and you observe that some of these cows have ability to produce more milk than others, and while there are some bulls or buffaloes that they have ability to have a lot of meat rather than others or more than the others. So in this case, it's better to make this bull, okay, reproduce with these cows that produce a lot of milk to get an offspring that has the two properties, a lot of meat and a lot of milk, which means more money for you, and like that, or that's more desirable traits. The same here, we could find that most of these plants, cabbage, broccoli, kale, okay, actually they are originated from one ancestor, which is wild mustard. Once this wild mustard is breeded, okay, with other plants, they start to produce these different types of plants, which they consider desirable. Each one has one trait which is better than the other. Some of them have a lot of fibers, some of them have a lot of vitamins, or some of them have sweet taste, and like that. So that's here the idea of selective breeding, that you try to reproduce living organisms which have good traits to get new offsprings with more better or desirable traits. Okay, here we said that as sexual reproduction has a kind of advantages or good side, also it has a bad side or disadvantages. So what are the disadvantages of sexual reproduction? That sexual reproduction always requires long time and a lot of energy. So in sexual reproduction, organs should grow and develop until they become sexually mature. That means they are able to produce the sex cells. And then they take time searching for the mate, and after that we take time for pregnancy or to develop the embryo until they give birth. So all this is time taken, okay, or that will end a lot of energy. So here that's considered as advantage. Here guys, we find that's a quick summary for what we said, and let's try to answer the following question as a kind of practice. Cells that have pairs of chromosomes are called, of course, diploid, because they have full number of chromosomes. Then during which process does one diploid cell divide and make four haploid sex cell? What kind of division that produce four haploid sex cells? Of course, meiosis. And finally here, during which phase of meiosis chromosomes pairs, that means the homologous chromosomes separate. So as they still homologous, we talk about anaphase, that's the separation of homologous chromosomes. So like this, we finished our lesson. If you have any question, you can contact me anytime. Thank you. Goodbye.